Dragi gostje,
Welcome, distinguished guests.
lepo pozdravljeni na tokratnih
Welcome
dialogih z državljani,
to
tisti, ki
this
se še niste.
citizens
Si
dialogue.
prosim, poiščite še kak prostor,
Find a
da bomo
seat.
lahko
Please
začeli.
do find
Kot
one
verjetno
so that we
veste, je
can
namen
start.
teh srečanj,
As you know, the
ki
purpose
potekajo
of
po
these
vseh državah
encounters that
članicah Unije.
are taking place in all
V
EU
lanskem
member
letu je
states.
bilo organiziranih
Last year, for
53
example, there
tovrstnih
have
srečanj.
been 53 such
Namen teh
events,
srečanj je
and the
seveda, da bi
purpose of these events
državljani Evropske
is
unije
for the
čim več
citizens
izvedeli
of the
o
EU
delovanju
to
Unije,
learn
njenih
about
institucijah.
the functioning of the EU
Je pa
and
tovrstno
its
srečanje seveda tudi
institutions as much as
priložnost,
possible.
da
But of
tiste,
course,
ki
these events are
odločajo
also a
in
great
sprejemajo
opportunity
stvari na vrhu, povprašamo
to ask
in
decision
od
makers
njih terjamo odgovore
questions
na nekatera
and
vprašanja,
to
ki nas
request
zanimajo.
answers from
Tako
them.
kot vsa dosedanja srečanja
And
je
just
tudi
as in the past,
nocojšnje oziroma današnje srečanje moč
today's
spremljati
event
na
can
spletu.
also be followed
V
on
razpravi
web
boste lahko
streaming.
sodelovali tudi
You will also have
na
an
Twitterju,
opportunity to
in sicer
be
po
involved
vašemu
via
vprašanju ali pa misli
Twitter.
potrebno pridati
But please
oznako
do
EU Dialogues.
add
Današnji
EU
pogovor bo
dialogues
potekal
to your
v
comment or
slovenščini.
questions.
Komisar
Today's
Vela bo
dialogue will be
odgovarjal v
taking
angleščini, zato
place
so
in
seveda
the
na voljo
Slovenian
tudi
language. Commissioner
slušalke,
Vela will be answering
da
in the
ne bo
English language,
kaj
but we
pomembnega
have
umanjkalo
simultaneous interpretation
med
so that
pogovorom.
nothing will
V
be
rokah držite tudi
lost.
glasovalne naprave, če se ne
You
motim, ki ste
have
jih
also
dobili
received
spodaj
voting
pri vhodu.
devices which you were
Te bodo
given
danes
downstairs,
sila
and
pomembne,
today
saj vam bomo
these
med
devices will be
razpravo
extremely
zastavili
important
nekaj
because
vprašanj,
during the discussion we will
katere
ask you some questions
boste podali svoje odgovore.
and you will have an opportunity to provide your
In
answers.
Sedaj je že čas za prvo vprašanje
And with
za
this,
vas.
I think I can ask
To vprašanje
the
je
first
izpisano
question
tudi
to you.
tukaj
This
na tem
question
zaslonu.
is also
Torej,
seen
ali mislite,
on the monitor.
da se vaš glas
Do you
v
feel
Evropski uniji
that your voice is heard in the EU?
za odgovor lahko pritisnete na tipko A,
You can
B
choose
ali C
A, B, or C.
in začenjamo z glasovanjem.
So let's open the vote.
Ta glasba vas bo spomnila, da je do konca glasovanja še
This
15
music
sekund.
will remind you that you have 15 seconds left to cast your vote.
In kakšni so odgovori?
And what are the results?
49% vas meni, da se vaš
49% believe
glas ne sliši.
that your voice is not heard.
Upam, da bo nocojšnji, oziroma zakaj vedno govorim
I
nocojšnji?
sincerely
To so
hope
zato, ker
that
so
tonight,
zavese skoraj zagrnjene na
why
tej
do I keep
strani, no?
saying tonight? It is
Upam, da se
probably
bo
because of the
v današnjem
curtains.
pogovoru
I hope
to spremenilo.
that after
Kot
today's
veste, je
discussion, this is
tema
going to
današnjega
change.
pogovora krožno gospodarstvo,
As you know, today we're
dobro za
going
okolje,
to discuss
dobro
circular
za razvoj.
economy, which is good for
Evropska
the
komisija je
environment
konec
and good for the
leta
development.
2015 namreč
At the end of
objavila
2015,
paket
the
ukrepov,
European Commission
s katerimi
published
želi
a
v Evropi
package of
gospodarstvo
measures
usmeriti
in
proti
order to
trajnostni porabi virov.
steer the European
Krožnemu gospodarstvu
economy
torej,
towards a sustainable
katerega
use of resources.
bistvo
So,
je
circular
zmanjševanje
economy,
količine
the essence of which is to
odpadkov,
reduce
varstvo
the
okolja in
quantity of
preoblikovanje
waste to
delovanja
protect the environment
gospodarstva.
and to transform
Da
the
bomo
way our economy
bolje
functions.
razumeli izzive
Now, in order to
krožnega
better understand the
gospodarstva, nam bodo
challenges
pomagali
of the
današnji
circular
gostje.
economy,
Z nami
we
so
have
in
some prominent
vabim jih,
guests.
da se nam pridružijo
They
v
are
dvorani.
here, and I would like to
Evropski
invite them to
komisar za
join us.
okolje, pomorske zadeve in
Commissioner
ribištvo
for
Karmenu Vela,
Environment, Maritime Affairs
Evropska
and
komisarka za
Fisheries,
promet
Mr. Carmenu
Violeta
Vela,
Bulc, Erika
Mrs.
Oblak iz
Violeta
Društva
Bulc,
Ekologi
Commissioner
brez meja in
for Transport,
Aleš Dolenc, direktor podjetja
Mrs. Erika
Ensora.
Oblak of Ecologists Without Borders, and Aleš Dolenc, director of the company Ensora.
Lep pozdrav vsem štirim
Welcome
na odru.
to all our panelists.
Sedaj pa je spet čas
And
za
now it is
vprašanje.
time
za
for a
vas.
question again.
Vprašanje se glasi takole.
And the question is,
Mislite,
Do you think
da o
you
krožnem
know
gospodarstvu
enough about the circular
Veste dovolj.
economy?
glasovanje poteka na isti način, kot je potekalo
We are
prej,
going
torej
to
z
vote
vašim
in the same way as
stiskom
before,
na tipko
so
A, B ali
please
C, da
select
ste odgovorili na to
buttons
vprašanje.
A, B or C to answer the question.
Spet se bo v trenutku, ko bo do konca glasovanja še
And
15
once
sekund
again,
oglasila glasba.
we are going to hear the music. Here it is. This means that you have 15 seconds left.
In čez 5 sekund
In 5 seconds
izvedeli
time,
odgovor.
we are going to know what the answer is.
69% vas pravi,
69% of
da v
you
krožnem
say
gospodarstvu nima dovolj znanja.
that they do not know
Pravi
enough
trenutek
about
torej
the circular
za
economy.
odgovore na
This
vsa
means
vprašanja, ki jih imate.
that this
Še prej pa vabim
meeting, this event comes
najprej
at the right time.
komisarko Bulc
But before
za
that, I would like to
uvodni nagovor.
invite Madam
Kasneje
Commissioner
bom
Mrs.
k uvodnemu
Bulc
nagovoru
to
povabil
give
tudi
her words of
komisarja
introduction later
Komisarko
on.
Bulc, prosim.
I'm going to give the floor to Commissioner Vela as well.
Hvala lepa
Mrs.
in
Bulc.
kot vedno izjemno
Thank you.
zadovoljstvo mi je, da sem
As always, it is an extreme pleasure for me to be here at home and to have the opportunity of speaking to you in this format that the European Commission is using more and more. This is dialogue with the citizens. This is why, together with my colleague Vela, we're going to try and listen to you. We want to know why the answers are as they are. And in particular, we want to get some concrete initiatives from you. I must say that in 1.5 years, since I have been working in Brussels, we have received a lot of good initiatives from the grassroots, and we are trying to use them in our work and also in removing the barriers to what we would like to achieve. So really, I would like to invite you to be as active as possible, to give us your thoughts. We know how to listen and accept both the praise and the criticism, so you can go in either direction. Being a commissioner for transportation and bearing in mind that decarbonization is one of the topics that we are also dealing with in the sector of transportation, I would like to say a few words pertaining to my portfolio. I must say that in my portfolio there are two main areas. First of all, international activity beyond the EU, and the other area is within the EU. First of all, let me touch upon the global activity. For us, it was extremely important to attend the COP21 in Paris. There, we received some guidelines that are extremely important to us. I was slightly disappointed because the maritime and the aviation sectors were not taken into account, and that was my disappointment. So this year, we are going to have to discuss the global orientation in these two sectors, which are very important and are major contributors to negative effects in our environment. Back in February, we received some good news in Montreal. For the first time in history, we managed to agree on CO2 limits. This was extremely important because we managed to prove that agreement can be found at the global level as well. We now have time until autumn to agree how we're going to do this. During my last visit in Montreal, I received some good news. The European proposal for defining the method of calculation of limits has been accepted, and this was a market-oriented approach. Same also goes for the maritime sectors. At the moment, we are trying to agree the calculation method within the International Maritime Organization. And then there is the EU. To me, it is extremely important that decarbonization has become a business opportunity in transportation. We now know that decarbonization also contributes towards reducing our dependency and improves our efficiency. There are a number of new initiatives. I would like to invite you to get to know them and to be active. I would like you to be part of the dynamics that we are going to use in tackling this area. And now, Commissioner Vella, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to again show my pleasure of being here. I think this is my first opportunity to address such a distinguished audience alongside with my colleague and friend and a true friend, Violeta. The idea that we launched the Citizens Dialogue, the first Citizens Dialogue, was launched in January of last year. It's something which all college is doing, including vice presidents and the presidents. And the idea is that we have to listen, as Violeta said, we have to listen more to the citizens. At the end of the day, the citizens are the core of the values of the European Union. We have to cast our policies around what the citizens really need, because our policies, at the end of the day, will affect mostly the same citizens. So, yes, you are the major stakeholders in the European Union project, and we are here to listen. We are here to listen to anything. So, without any inhibitions, we are here to listen about your needs, about your views, about your complaints, about your comments. So feel free and tell us what you really think of the European Union project. This is, for us, at least even for me, it's a learning process. It's a learning process because, okay, I come here, I will try to explain what the circular economy is all about, because today's subject, from my perspective, is the circular economy. But it's a learning process for me as well to see what you think about all this. It's a very short program that I have. I only have 2 days this time in Ljubljana, but it is a very, very intensive program because I'm meeting ministers, I'm meeting you, I'm meeting fishermen. We're launching the Green Capital Award for Ljubljana. I visited 2 parks, a Natura 2000 site. I'm going to visit 2 ports. So this is my first visit to Ljubljana as a commissioner, but I promise it won't be the last for sure. And this is a way how we can improve the relationship between the citizens and the European Union. Violeta was telling me that you've already had 3 such events in Slovenia. That, I think, is a good record, because I don't think that there are many member states who have had the opportunity of having 3 citizens dialogue. I'm also here, I mentioned Ljubljana as the Green Capital Award, and because I'm here and I want to congratulate Ljubljana for achieving such a high sustainable level on environment and waste and transport objections. And we will be giving the award of the Green Capital to Ljubljana. This is something that obviously Ljubljana merited and Ljubljana worked for. And when I say Ljubljana, I mean from the very leaders down to the very citizens. With regards to my portfolio, my portfolio consists of the environment, fishing, fisheries, and maritime affairs. It's a very broad and at times a very controversial portfolio. I get my surprises as well, as Violeta mentioned. For example, I visited Expo in Milan, where the theme was Feeding the Planet. All the countries had their pavilion there, but when I told them I would like to visit 1, 2, 3 pavilions which are showing the ocean's contributions towards feeding the planet, because at the end of the day, fishing is, like agriculture, one of the main. They told me, we don't think we have one pavilion which is showing the fishing contribution. So that's, again, COP21, when we know that the oceans are the prime climate moderators. Oceans are absorbing 90% of the planet's heat. They are absorbing more than 30% of the planet's carbon dioxide. They are giving between 60 and 80% of the planet's oxygen. Everyone thinks that we get most of our oxygen from the forest, whereas we get most of it from the oceans. And yet, if it weren't for us pushing to have parallel conferences at COP21 about the oceans and their part in climate and climate change, they would have been totally absent. However, oceans feature, and they feature very much, in the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which were agreed by all the countries last year. There is one specific Sustainable Development Goal which regards the oceans. As there is also another Sustainable Development Goals which refers basically to what we're doing on circular economy, to have a more sustainable production and a more sustainable consumption. But we will talk about this later on in our time.
bomo zagotovo potem še v nadaljevanju povedali.
Indeed, we are going to say more about this later. Now, transition to circular economy is certainly something that the ecologists are going to be pleased about. Am I true? Yes, we are already happy about it.
Yes, certainly. Yes, I have to say that already the first package made us pretty happy. But unfortunately, this package was later on repealed with the explanation that the more ambitious plan and package would be published last December, and this promise was even kept. Both commissioners said that you are open to criticism and to praise, so more about that in continuation. The positive thing about this package was that it extended the scope, mainly on the part of the environmentally friendly design. This is of utmost importance, and it also left out the market of secondary raw material. But some ambition in goals was lost in the second package, and NGOs are not very pleased about that, especially when it comes to the goal of food and the specific goal when it comes to the prevention of maritime waste and maritime litter. But we do welcome this package because it is aimed at the economy and at the environment at the same time. And perhaps this is the first time that these two areas have been combined in one package. That much by way of introduction, perhaps later a bit more about that, because the devil is in detail, as you know. This package is quite general in scope, but in details there can be great discrepancies in different positions. Mr. Dolenc, in your company, you are quite efficient in applying circular economy principles. Yes, interestingly enough, when I first heard about the circular economy from the former commissioner, Mr. Potočnik, I said, yes, the theory in Brussels caught the practice in Jury, where our company is based. We are working according to the principles of circular economy, although, truth be told, we still need to improve certain processes. But the main activity of our business is aimed at the use of wood, also recycled wood, for the production of windows. And we started with that when the plastic windows production was on the increase, and we said, no, we're not going to do that ourselves. We are going to focus on windows made of wood, made of natural materials. We are going to use the raw materials that is growing around us. And we also focused on energy efficiency. In this way, we try to contribute to the improvement of the natural environment. So we wanted to use the natural raw material and to reduce the use of energy. Thank you very much. Commissioner Vella, what is circular economy? What do we have in mind when we talk about circular economy?
I think the best way to explain what the circular economy is all about is to compare the economic model that we have today with the economic model that we are proposing. The linear economy that we have today means that we extract resources, we extract raw materials, we make products out of them, we use those products. After we use those products, we throw the products away with all the material included into landfills. So the resource is lost. That is linear economy. Then to make new products, we go back and we start extracting again. This circular economy that we are proposing, we extract resources, we produce products, we use the products. After we use the products, we remove and we keep the raw materials so that the raw materials would go back into production. This is a resource-efficient way of doing economic. Why am I'm referring to a resource-efficient way? Because Europe is very rich when it comes to manpower, to labor, to skills, but it is very poor when it comes to resources. We have what we call a big resource deficit. Europe imports 6 times as much resources as we export. We want more jobs, we want economic growth, and we want more investment. But we cannot have these unless we are more competitive. To be more competitive, we cannot reduce production costs by lowering wages. That is crazy. But we can reduce production costs by making the raw materials, by making the resources stay into the production cycle. What we had before, and we are building on what we had before, Commissioner Potočnik, whom you know very well and who's a very good friend of mine, one of the first things that we discussed together, even before my hearing, we went out together for lunch and he was telling me what his program was and so on. And we kept building on what Potočnik presented. But before we had legislation on a waste package, what to do with the waste, whereas now we have a 360-degree package. We're not only interested what to do with the waste, but we want to focus first and foremost on how to avoid the waste. We can avoid waste by having better designs. We can avoid waste by using products that last longer. To give you an example, we are even addressing, for example, planned obsolescence. Today, you buy products, you buy a mobile phone, you buy a tablet, which is programmed, its own software, program is that it will only be used for 3 years, for 5 years, and that is waste. So we went straight not only to the end of the product life cycle, but also to the beginning and the use. We can be also more resource efficient by changing the commercial model, not only the production model, but only the commercial model. Today, we have companies who are hiring out, not selling products. This is not a new concept. If I wanted a house where to live, I had 2 options. I either bought my house or I rented my house. So the concept of renting out is an old concept. But this concept is now being applied also to products. I can hire photocopying machines for my office. Today, there are companies which are hiring out even domestic appliances if you don't want to buy your fridge and washing machine, and you can actually hire them out. So even this sharing concept, we address this as well. So basically, that is the difference between the present linear economy and the circular economy which we are proposing. Later on, perhaps, I can also say how we are more ambitious, not just on targets, but more so on results. We are more ambitious because previously we were talking about basically 4 resources: plastic, paper, glass, and metal. Today, in the circular economy, we've brought in food and food waste. We've brought in plastics. We're going to have a special strategy for plastic. We brought in water, because water is a resource which we need to keep in the loop. We've brought in construction and demolition, because in the construction industry there are a lot of recyclable. And we have put targets, and we're trying to phase out landfills and so on. But all these, as my colleague said, are details. Perhaps we can talk about them even later on.
Med temi ambicioznimi cilji, ki
Among
naj bi jih,
these ambitious goals
Komisija
that
zasledovala
the
pri tem,
European Commission
je
is following
35%
is
recikliranja
65%
komunalnih
recycling of municipal waste
2040,
until 2030, 75%
75%
of recycling of waste packaging by 2030,
zmanjšati količino odpadkov,
and
ki končajo
the
na odlagališčih,
reduction of the quantity of waste or landfill waste. Well, it should be reduced by 10% to maximum 10% by 2030. These are some goals that are important for circular economy, and it means that other supporting sectors need to be adapted as well as infrastructure and transport situation in Europe. What do you think about infrastructure in Europe? Is it ready for the introduction or for the reduction of raw material transport if these goals are to be achieved? Is the EU infrastructural network ready for circular economy? Well, transport is an important element of circular economy, and we are aware of the 3 key challenges here. One is the lack of our own resource, energy resources, then lack of our own raw materials, but we also have an advantage here, which means highly skilled labor force and innovation initiatives. For the first time, we are going to put up a model of transport for circular economy. If we take a look at this classical model of Resolve, if we take a look at closing the loop and regeneration, and we can say that there is a lag in the evolution and in the reorganization. However, the first results are promising, and as my colleague has mentioned, one of the main pressures is on ensuring an appropriate percentage or level of raw materials. Transport represents 34% of use of all energy resources in Europe, and unfortunately 95% of them are based on oil. This is why we are tackling this issue very seriously. We are aiming at renewable resources, but especially in the beginning, let's say in the coming 15 years, we cannot count on renewable resources only. One of the main challenges, which is also the challenge of circular economy, is that the appropriate horizontal strategies need to be set up, and we have to talk to the electrical energy sector. There are talks, but at the time we are still in the beginning phase of our talks. In all of these elements, on the two basic elements, on the resources and energy resources, this year we'll see some important moves, both in the preparation of new regulatory packages and framework. As you know, member states need to draft plans of renewable energy resources used by the end of this year, and we hope that we will be submitted the plans by autumn this year, and then we will take appropriate steps further on. Recycling is also a matter of discussion. The scrapping of ships is also under discussion, but the number of states signing this agreement is still low, and we hope that this might change also at the level of COP21 and at other levels. Yesterday, we were discussing this with Mr. Šefčovič, with Mr. Katainen, and we discussed in which direction decarbonization should go. The aim is to ensure lower dependency of the European Union, and on the other hand, we should promote investment because we are hungry for new investment. There is a lack of public funds, so this is why we want to launch EFSI, which is focused on new technologies, on the introduction of electrical energy, on renewable resources, on setting up new gas terminals, of new types of vehicles, of new propulsion systems. These are huge investment opportunities resulting from the new plan, and the private capital plays an important role, i.e. the capital of insurance companies and pension funds. This is very important because this capital is there, is lying there, and is not being multiplied. So allow me to invite you to read about these investment plans, how they should be drafted, read the instructions. There will be a conference held in Slovenia on the 22nd of April on the topic of the use of the new mechanism, that is EFSI, when it comes to transport-related projects. I hope that you might be interested in participating in this conference. It is also true that we are in the beginning of the entire process, but because of these steps that the European Union is now taking, and these are daring steps, the sector is becoming more competitive and more attractive. I can speak from my own experience because we are talking about efficient management of transport, of new management systems. And when I'm traveling around the world, I'm there also as an economic diplomat, if you will, because I'm offering the solutions that are important from the point of view of aviation. CESAR is our flagship project for air traffic management, and the solutions for efficient management of railway systems, ERTMS. These are two of the most interesting global products, and this directly contributes to decarbonization, and at the same time, this is one of the minor elements in the entire concept of circular economy. And we are taking heed of orienting our directions and solutions in this direction. Thank you.
You mentioned railways, and as a commissioner for transportation, you must have expected a question related to an investment that is quite a major issue in Slovenia. Second track, Koper, Trieste. Well, thank you for giving me another chance. Maybe I can clarify this issue, because there is no meeting in Slovenia without a sub-question about the second track. Let me take this opportunity to explain how these projects are approved, because this is very important for all further projects as well. First of all, the relation or the Adriatic-Baltic corridor is extremely important for the EU. This is part of the backbone consisting of 9 corridors, and this one is one of the 9. Why is it important? Because for the first time, the Baltic countries are attached or included in this EU system, and because northern Adriatic ports are connected to countries like southern Germany, Hungary, Poland, and this is a much less expensive and more efficient way than if the ships have to continue all the way to the north. This is why the European Commission has approved shortening this route by 5 to 7 days. So this corridor is important for the EU economy. The second reason why this corridor has been approved is due to the decarbonization of transportation. At the moment, more than 24% is the contribution. And now we want to reduce the contribution of the roads, which is 70%. And the railways are extremely poorly developed compared to other modalities. And this is why, in this investment cycle, most investments are focused on railways, so that we can see a shift of cargo from roads to railway. So this is the second reason why this is so interesting. And the third reason, which Carmena is going to dwell more on, is that the EU is preparing to use the stick for the biggest polluters. Slovenia is known as one of the greenest countries, but I do hope that by using its national level solution, Slovenia is going to act as a low-carbon society. Otherwise, we are going to pay penalties. And it's a pity if you have to use your money, your scarce money, for paying penalties. Back in 2014, Slovenia has committed to building the second track, and I sincerely hope that Slovenia is going to keep the promise. We are supporting this because this is part of the 9 corridor commitment. We have the financial mechanism available, and it's up to the member states whether they're going to use the financial mechanism or not. Here, the EU is not messing with this anymore. What we need is a good project. Now, as regards Koper Trieste, I was very clear in Trieste but unfortunately my words have been misinterpreted because some people were reading the article unprecisely. If Slovenia and Italy decide they want to have a regional connection, they can have it. This is a regional issue. They can use cohesion funds, but this has nothing to do with me. You have to talk to Corina Cretu, who is responsible for regional development. So I do hope that once and for all, dear colleagues from the Finance newspaper, please do report my words correctly, because I see this story is being misused and abused for all sorts of political goals. And sometimes we see that the local community is very upset for no reason at all. Well, please allow me to continue along these lines. You said once the construction is approved, we are no longer interested in this issue as long as the project is not concluded. Look, the member state has to come up with a project, meet all the criteria, and then negotiations for financial resources follow if you need the resources. At the moment, 3 financing mechanisms are available for corridors. One thing is the CEF mechanism, which is intended for corridors only. The second thing is cohesion funds, for which Slovenia is still eligible. But because of the improving economic growth, the cohesion funds are going to be less and less. And the third thing is EFSI, or the Juncker plan, which involves a private investor who, of course, will want to know what is in the project for them once the project is concluded. This is why the project has to be set up in an attractive way. You need to see what the revenues will be. And in railways, we see that revenues come more and more from cargo, from involving all the stakeholders who are interested in having these railway connections. So money is available, good projects are being looked for, and private capital should be attracted. At the moment, enormous efforts are being made to involve the banks, then also insurance institutions and other institutions, so that they can be involved in transportation. Solvency II is a first important step in this direction, so that we can set up good conditions for institutional investors as well. So conditions are being set up. In transportation, just by way of example, we managed to fund 10 new projects, and over the last 6 months, we engaged 5 billion additional money. This is huge. This is in addition to 28 billion we have available for transportation projects. Of course, 2 additional billion have been engaged in transportation, but this was more for ships, vehicles, and green solutions in the field of vehicles. So this is an attractive mechanism, but without a good project, nothing will happen. Okay, let's stop at this point. As someone providing money, you will probably want to know how the money is used. Well, we keep following the situation. We have a very efficient governance model. We keep tracking projects. We know whether they are being delayed. So the European Union has increased its efficiency enormously, because we know that public monies are scarce, and we are very careful, very watchful. We want to see money capitalized. We want to see value added. And and therefore, in evaluating a project, value added and short as well as long-term employment are extremely important. These two criteria will also be reported for all co-funded projects.
Gospa Oblak,
Mrs. Oblak,
od ciljev, ne, je
one
skrb
of
za
the
okolje,
objective is
Pokazalo se
also
je, da
caring for our
posamezniki
environment.
nekako znamo
It has
stremeti,
turned out that as
vedno bolj
individuals,
spoznavamo
we
pomembnost usmeriti se proti
are
skrbi za okolje. Kaj
getting
pa
more and
podjetja?
more aware
So
about
podjetja
our
pripravljena
environment. How
svoje
about
procese
companies? Are the companies willing to
krožnemu gospodarstvu,
adapt their
skrbi za
processes to
okolje,
the circular
manjši porabi
economy?
surovin?
Are they willing to commit to use less resources? Well, depends. We have more advanced companies. That also goes for Slovenia. And that also goes for the global level. What I find very important in circular economy is that we have to use both benefits for both the companies and the environment. And this is why NGOs welcome this package. But of course, a lot depends on each and every company. In Slovenia too, our economy should be more aware of the challenges and opportunities that this package is offering. We know that the Slovenian economy is sharing the same problem with Europe as a continent. We know that Europe is not rich in natural resources. Also, we know that productivity of materials is low in our economy. So I think it's very important that companies should understand the concept better. Also because no matter how you look at it, we are part and parcel of the European economy. Many Slovenian companies are suppliers for companies in other EU member states. And I'm sure that both in Slovenia and in Europe, there will be winners and losers once this transition happens. If Slovenian companies recognize an opportunity in circular economy, and if they follow to companies that they're supplying to, this transition to circular economy will be easier. And maybe companies will move from being suppliers to a higher level. So what I believe is that there is a number of challenges for Slovenia. We have a car industry, Renault, in Novo Mesto. And we know that Renault, the mother company, is part of Ellen MacArthur. But in Slovenia, we haven't seen Renault trying to also enforce this in Slovenia. Commissioner Vella, transition to circular economy also means a transition of the whole chain to this new method of thinking.
Yes, it's not something that we have and we can do only in units. We have to have a broad perspective. And I think what we have to highlight as well is that the circular economy concept, which is a more resource-efficient model, is not something which is happening only in the European Union, because if it were happening only in the European Union, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Why? Because you cannot have multinational companies operating under a circular economy model in Europe, in a linear model in China, in a triangular model in the US. So even if a member state wants to attract foreign direct investment, if a member state wants to attract foreign companies, the sooner that member state is ready for the circular economy, the better. Because in the very near future, most of the companies will only want to operate in a circular economy model. Let us not forget that the circular economy was first conceived some 50 years ago in the US, not as an environmental model, but as an economic model. And even though maybe they call it cradle to cradle, not everyone calls it the same. We in Europe, we are calling it circular economy. In China, they have it. In China, they introduced it in their 12th five-year plan, which has now expired, and they are continue with it in the 13th five-year plan. When we talk about companies, I think my colleague was correct in saying not all the companies are the same. We cannot expect that all the sectors, all the different sectors, move at the same speed. Some will go fast, others will go slower. The important thing is that they are all going in the same direction. If there are 10 sectors, it's not a problem if the 10 sectors are traveling at 10 different speeds. It would be a problem if the 10 sectors are traveling in 10 different directions. To give you another example how some of the companies are already in the circular economy and how some of them are even more environmental than we think. I myself was involved as a director and chairman of some of the companies. And every company had its own corporate social responsibility. And at first, I tried to argue, but why do we put aside funds for social reasons, which is good. I'm not saying corporate social responsibility is not good. It's very good. But then I tried to introduce the idea of having a corporate environmental responsibility as well, where companies would put aside some of the funds to sponsor some environmental responsibility. And this was immediately accepted by some of the companies. Okay, some of the companies said yes, but we don't remove the social, so they became corporate, social, and environmental responsible. Some of the sectors which are moving very fast is the paper industry and the plastic industry as well. These two. Why? Because this is where we have at the moment most of the separation and the management of. So they are moving fast. But in the future, when we mentioned infrastructure. Yes, some of us are getting ready, but there is still a long way to go. But this is where the opportunity lies.
Torej smo šele na začetku, kaj ne?
So we are just at the beginning.
We are. Yes, we are at the beginning, but we're moving fast. And the countries which are still not recycling as much as we want them to, in a way, they are the countries, they are the member states with the biggest opportunities. And the funds are there to help them. As you said, we have environmental challenges which are giving us economic opportunities.
Ti pogovori so seveda imenovani dialogi z
These
državljani.
events are entitled Dialogue with Citizens. So I am now going to put our commissioners in a different role. I'm going to pass the floor to you, the audience. Since there are many of us here, please be brief and concise when putting your questions or comments. And at the end of your comment, there should be a question mark. In events like this one, this has to be mentioned sometimes. And as for you, dear commissioners, please be brief and concise in your answers as well. And now, can we hear the first question, please?
Bi prosil za mikrofon, da
Microphone, please. Yes, Tomasz Ogrin. I have a question for Mr. Vella. What is your attitude towards incineration plants in the circular economy model?
Okay, in the circular economy model, we have the hierarchy. What levels are the most acceptable? At the very bottom, we have landfills, because once you throw material in the landfill, then you've lost it completely. On top of that, we have the waste to energy level, which is the incinerators. It's accepted that investment in incineration is one of the circular economy models. Why? Because rather than throwing the material in the landfill, we would be recovering energy from the material. However, we want, and we are going to be very, very careful about this, and I'll tell you why. Because some of the member states or some of the companies are investing in waste to energy. They are investing in incinerators. However, when they find that the investment is done, but the economies of scale of the material is not there, then they start throwing everything in the incinerators, even waste which could be recyclable, and that is not accepted. So if you're going to ask me what is my position on incinerators, as long as the incinerators are burning non-recyclable material, it is fine and we will support them. But to justify the investment, we will not allow that they burn also recyclable material. That is out of the question. And similar to that, we have the biotreatment plants as well, the mechanical and biotreatment plants as well. So yes, they are accepted, but we have to be careful that they do not burn material which could be recycled.
Hvala. Lahko, seveda.
Ker je, ko govorimo o non-recyclable,
When we talk about non-recyclable waste,
zaenkrat ni nikjer definicije.
for the time being, there is no definition on it. So I have a question to Mr. Vella. Is it foreseen that the definition of non-recyclable waste will be put into the directive? Because the Energy Union that has adopted the route plan said that the waste should be moved simply into energy production, but not into recycling, reuse, and so on when it comes to this waste.
You are correct, and this will be addressed for sure, because it's important that we address it. Like we're going to address even the definition of waste. When is waste regarded as waste, and when is waste regarded then as a recyclate?
Recyclate and hopefully not RDF.
No,
The fuel for incinerators.
recyclates. And by the way, recyclates, this package envisages that we will create and we will help to create a market for recyclates. How? Because today, even though we are separating and we are recycling, some of the material, even after being recycled, is not finding its way back to the production. There might be various reasons. One reason, for example, is the quality of the recyclate. Obviously, if you have a product which is contaminated by hazardous substances or by hazardous chemicals, once you recycle it, you're going to recycle again. So we don't regard that as a good quality recyclate. So even there, we have to be careful that at the very design stage, we incorporate only hazardous-free materials in the design of the product.
Hvala. Naslednje vprašanje.
Thank you very much. Next question, please.
Pozdravljeni, Koprivnikar Mihael. Mene pa
Mihael
zanima, spet za
Koprivnikar.
komisarja mogoče vprašanje.
I also have a question
Ali
for
vi
Mr.
osebno
Commissioner.
mislite, da bomo
What is
lahko samo
your
z mehkimi
personal
prijemi
view
prešli v
on
krožno
the soft
gospodarstvo?
approach to
Ali pa
circular
bomo
economy?
morda,
Is it possible
morali
like that?
preiti tudi na dodatno
Or are we
obdavčevanje,
going
predvsem
to need
virgin
additional
materials,
measures such as additional taxation
oziroma izdelkov, ki
on
imajo velik okoljski odtis?
virgin materials with the environmental footprint?
I think there is no soft or hard approach to circular economy. Either we accept it and we do it, or we don't. And luckily for Europe, I think the circular economy package has gathered a lot of support from everywhere, from the citizens, from Parliament, from Council, from NGOs. So there is, I might say, a European universal support for the circular economy. How we set targets, how we achieve those targets then is left to the member states. You mentioned whether we could use taxation. Even in waste management, there are some member states who have successfully managed, for example, to put taxation on landfilling, to discourage landfilling. So we don't discourage it, but it is not up to us. It is up to each and every member state to see how they want to achieve the targets that we've set. But it is possible.
Dodatne obdavčitve so seveda vprašanje za podjetja. Ne?
Additional decisions are also a question for the companies. Yes, as a representative from the economy, I would like to know the following. If we want to put a certain package of legislation into practice, there has to be some, not just a carrot, but also a stick on the other hand. Perhaps a carrot could be a subsidy, but on the other hand, we are afraid that there might be some orientation, some rules coming from Brussels in combination with the Slovenian red tape, who want to be smarter than everyone else sometimes. And this might have negative consequences for companies and for the economy as such.
Yes, and I think we owe it to the private sector that once they commit to the circular economy, then we support them. And that is why we are putting strict targets on the member states, because at the end of the day, when it comes to production, investment, commercialization of the products, it is primarily the private sector which is doing all that. When it comes to waste management, collection, recycling, mostly, not always, but mostly it is the public sector which is doing that. So everywhere I go, I always tell the member states that if you do not deliver on the waste management side, you are letting your private sector down. And that is why we are making certain that the recyclates there's a good quantity, otherwise, unless there is the quantity, the economies of scale to go back into production is not there, and that the recyclates have to be of a certain quality as well. So yes, we are putting that is the stick on the member states, but also we are realizing, and we want to be more ambitious, not only on the legislation part. At the end of the day, what's the use of putting tons and tons of legislation, then the implementation is almost next to zero. We want to focus on the legislation, but we want to focus even more than before on the implementation. It is not only correct to assess our success by the amount of legislation that we put on the table, but it is better that we assess our success on the output from that legislation. When we were discussing the targets on the circular economy, we had two options. First of all, we said about running at different speeds. Whenever we come up with one piece of legislation in Europe, for that one piece of legislation, we have 28 member states running at 28 different speeds, which is to be accepted. And there might be reasons for it. For example, let me give you one reason. I come from a very small country, which is Malta. Population 400,000. If the private sector wants to invest in a recycling plant, I don't know, in Germany or in France, they make their calculations, and the first thing that they ask is, how much waste is this region producing? If the amount of waste is high, okay, then it merits investment in a recycling plant. If the waste which is generated is small, then the economies of scale are not there, the private sector will not invest, and that investment will have to come from the public sector, from the government, which will have to take that investment away from health, from education, So there are reasons why 28 member states run at 28 different speeds. When we were discussing the targets, we had to choose. We could have said there are member states, which are lagging behind. So because they are lagging behind, we bring down our level of ambition. We bring down our targets. We said no. The second option was, let's keep the same ambitious targets. Let us identify the member states which are not running fast enough. Let us sit down with them. Let us discuss what is the problem, what the barriers are, and let us try and solve the barriers with them. That is the approach. Because yes, we have to be legislators in Europe, but we also have to be facilitators. What's the use of legislating and then not facilitating that legislation is implemented? So there is the stick and there is the carrot, as it were.
Vsekakor je veliko odvisno seveda od lokalnih
Yes, a lot depends on individual member states. Allow me to ask a question myself before we go to the next round of questions. This is a topical question at this moment in time. Do you think, I hope that the screen will show this, do you think that the European Union, with its actions, stimulates the transition of Slovenia to the circular economy? We've heard that there are some carrots and sticks available. And now I would like to ask you for your answers. 15 seconds will be up after the music starts.
Da, je vaše mnenje.
Yes, that's the majority opinion.
Tukaj od spredaj je bilo...
Here in the front.
Ja, tole vprašanje za nas občinstvo je točno pisano na kožo.
This question for the audience is something that goes very well with what I wanted to say. Well, we heard from the director, but first of all, let me introduce myself. Peter Ar from Maribor. You said that when the European Commission started to speak about circular economy, you thought, well, they have come up with something that we have been doing anyway. Well, we are in quite a similar position. We have a revolutionary technology for constructing houses. And this, we believe, will also be the basis for circular economy. So there are companies in Slovenia using advanced technology. And what do these companies need to do so that the voice of these companies is heard in Brussels? How can we achieve that we will be working hand in hand for the benefit of circular economy? Can I ask you for brief replies, please?
Yes, very briefly. This is very encouraging because when I said we have environmental challenges and economic opportunities, the economic opportunities are not only in production, but they are in designing, in innovation, in doing things differently. We cannot continue doing the same things that we used to do before. So it would be very interesting to discuss, to see what the innovation in this design is. I don't know the size of the project, so I don't know whether the investment is 5 million, 50 million, 10 million, I don't know. But the circular economy is being backed by a number of funds. There are Horizon 2020 funds. There is EFSI, which is providing, together with the European Investment Bank, some 315 billion. And some of the projects have already been applied for and allocated. So I don't know whether and where your project fits, but we would be very much interested to know, either through, if you contact our representation here, and that would be a good starting point. But we would encourage that kind of project.
Madam Commissioner, you don't see enough Slovenian companies in European platforms. You do have some companies from Ljubljana, but not from the periphery. Well, that was my first surprise when I first came to Brussels, how poorly Slovenians are represented in these platforms. So this would be my question to you. How well do you know the existing platforms that can be used in order for good initiatives to work hand in hand with those who are working in the same field? For example, in mobility, there is a project called Civitas, which has brought together more than 2,000 cities Europe-wide. Through this platform, good practices are being exchanged. More and more cities are working together, and an economy of scale and volume is being generated so that they are in a better position towards the industry. So this was a result of our conference in Ljubljana. And at the February meeting in Brussels, 20 cities signed a joint contract on electrification of public transportation. And now they're going to try and introduce electricity buses in cities, and they're counting on 20 more cities joining them. All commissioners have their own platforms, and the industry can either get the initiative from NGOs, the industry individuals, experts, or expert associations, or sometimes it is us who recognize the emergence of something new, and we provide the initiatives for a new platform so that we can get in direct touch, so we can get more information, allowing us to react, particularly when it comes to standards and regulatory frameworks. Maybe by way of encouragement for you, sir, I used to be a businesswoman, and I would say to you, try and grow as efficiently as possible, try to increase your market share, and make other people believe in your business idea. Microphone, please.
Hvala. Če lahko tam še vprašanje, vidim tam od zadaj.
Yes, I can see more hands
Yeah,
at the
lep
back.
pozdrav. I prepared my question in English for Commissioner Vela. I wanted to ask, there are two very important processes underway currently in under the lead of the European Commission. One is the better regulation agenda, and the other the planned regulatory cooperation in TTIP agreement. Both plan to tackle the so-called burdensome regulation and barriers to trade and etc. But at the same time, these so-called administrative burdens are important safeguards for environmental protection. And in my view, it's being evident that the environment is being sacrificed for more trade and economic growth. So my question to you how will you, as the Commissioner responsible for environment, stop this deregulation? Thank you.
What I can, I think, guarantee is that there is no way that we will go down on our standards in return for any trade benefit. That has been spelled out more than once, and even in TTIP and in any trade agreements, we are making certain that whatever the case, we will, as the European Union, never go down to lower our standards. When it comes to, this is actually not my remit, the environment part is, but the trade part is not my remit. But when it comes to what is being discussed to facilitate more trade, just to give you one example, if, for example, there is a container coming from the US to Europe, today the one who is sending the container must contract someone to certify the contents, to certify what's inside the container and whatnot. Then when it arrives in Europe, the one who is receiving the container will have to do the same thing. So just an example, to facilitate that trade, it's the same container which is coming, but there's less administration because both sides can agree on one certification company. But as long as far as the environment is and standards, as long as these agreements are being discussed, we are making certain that we don't go lower on our standards for sure.
Tukaj od spredaj je bila še želja za eno vprašanje.
Yes, another question here at the front. Well, thank you very much. Let me relate to what the Commissioner said. The Commissioner is always saying that we are EU citizens. The last question was, is the EU doing enough in order for Slovenia to implement the circular economy principles? In our parliament, we had a discussion with the former Commissioner Janez Potočnik, who emphasized the importance of circular economy as the new economic model contributing to more competitiveness and helping us to proceed with growth because it opens new jobs, as Mr. Vela explained. But at the same time, during that same discussion, which was not really a discussion, unlike what we're having today, we heard that our ministries do not understand this codependence. Today, we have the representatives of NGOs, of the business sector and so on. But on the other hand, it seems that our government simply does not understand that all of us have to step together when it comes to the implementation. So a view from Brussels, even though we are all Brussels, we would like to hear a view from Brussels. Slovenia is trying to be a green state. What do we need? Do we need a stick or can we be offered a carrot? Very briefly. First and foremost, we always start with fragmented solutions. Those who are most advanced will always make the first steps. And the same thing happened at the EU level. Now, in circular economy, we have at least 6 commissioners and 3 vice presidents working together, meaning that there will be a very strong message from the EU encouraging member states to do the same, because it's a horizontal challenge, as you mentioned. There are several stakeholders who have to work hand in hand. But we are extremely motivated because Europe doesn't have its own resources. And this is a good point of departure to come up with our own resources. Also, circular economy functions much better when it comes to energy. And because of lack of energy resources, we can come up with all the benefits of circular economy. So fragmented approach is something normal at the beginning, but now we would like to work on synergies, bringing together all these initiatives, and hopefully the Slovenian government, well, I don't have such a good insight as you, but hopefully the Slovenian government will also be able to react as you expect. But it takes an active role of all stakeholders. The government is just one of them.
Aha.
Perhaps I wouldn't agree that the Slovenian government, because even in Brussels, the Slovenian government was one of the governments that supported the circular economy, as did the Slovenian MEPs and so on. So, and to be honest, Slovenia has made a lot of progress even when it comes to recycling. In terms of recycling, Slovenia came up to some 55% up to 2010-15, which is quite impressive. Are we there? No. Still, there are things to be done, but at least progress is being achieved. And the NGOs, you mentioned then the NGOs and industries, I think I agree with you that they both understood the merits of the circular economy. After all, it is all about competitiveness and competitive advantage on the industry side, and it's about resource efficiency, taking care of our natural capital on the environmental side, not to mention the contribution that the circular economy is giving to the climate change, to lower the emissions, so on and so forth.
Vprašanje tukaj spredaj.
Jernej Stritih.
A question from the front row. My name is Andrej Stritih. For some 15 years, I have worked for the Slovenian government in the field of climate change, and we drafted the strategy for the transition into low-carbon economy. What is interesting here is that with two different analyses, we showed at that time that this transition would bring about half of GDP per year, 0.5% of GDP per year. Unfortunately, the ministers at the then government were reluctant to believe that because other projects were important at that time for Slovenia, the power plant in Šoštanj and the second track of railway is now. That strategy was in place, and we could see that the scenario there was optimistic, and we wanted to show that it can be done if there is a will. And we wanted to persuade and convince all stakeholders that there is an opportunity for the coming 10 years in the increase or in the transition to circular economy, and not to repeat the patterns of the linear economy of the past 100 years.
Yes,
Thank you.
I think we have to keep in mind that with the circular economy, we are not looking at the next 5 years, 10 years. This will have to take us forward in the next centuries. So when we said we are still in the beginning, literally, we are still in the beginning. You mentioned and you spoke about circular economy's contribution to climate change, because circular economy links to the environment, it links to health, it links to competitiveness, it also links to the oceans. You mentioned marine litter, for example, the fact that we will be recycling more plastic, that means less plastic going into the oceans. With regards to the climate change, there are good considerations, because circular economy is considered to lower the emissions by some 2 to 4% by the year 2030. The energy consumption of recyclates is much, much lower. Just to give you an example, to process virgin aluminium takes 10 times as much energy as to process recycled aluminium. So even in that sense, there is, obviously, we mentioned the contribution of waste to energy on non-recyclable material, and there is also the lower emissions from methane emissions from landfills. If we phase out landfills, we will also be phasing out the methane emissions from those landfills. I think any industry which is not based on resource efficiency and on a lower carbon emission has got a very short expiry date on it. Why? Because today citizens are more aware about the environment. They are more aware not only because of the environment, but more so because the environment links directly to their health. So if I'm selling a product and Violetta is selling the same product, but Violetta's product is more environmental friendly within the circular economy, I am 100% that she will have a competitive advantage over me, because consumers, the citizens, are becoming more aware of the importance of her product as against mine.
Kar nekaj rok sem še videl v publiki.
I have seen a couple of requests for the floor. However, our time is running up. Because of other appointments of the commissioners here in Ljubljana. Allow me to ask a question myself. I know that there are a number of questions, but the question for you now. Do you agree that events such as this one improve your knowledge about the European Union, about the programs and ideas that are being introduced by the European Union? The audience will vote in the same way as before. So the question is, do you agree that this event has contributed to a better knowledge about the European Union and about circular economy?
Že znano opozorilo, da je do konca glasovanja samo še nekaj.
Only a few seconds left until the closing of the vote, says the music.
In odgovori?
And the replies? Certainly, yes. Well, distinguished commissioners, it seems that you will have to visit us again, perhaps for a longer time, so that we can have more of these citizen dialogues and get-togethers. Unfortunately, we cannot take any more questions because we are pressed for time. But I am sure that the European Commission will be asked more questions, perhaps in other ways as well. This was only scraping the surface a little bit when it comes to the topic of circular economy. It is up to the citizens to follow the work of the institutions of the European Union. I would like to sincerely thank you for participating in this panel discussion, in this citizen dialogue, and thank you to all of the participants for coming.